Well, when I was in law school, I studied labor law, but I never went into labor law. I ended up doing primarily family and criminal law and general practice. Family law is what we call the whole area of dealing with marriages, divorces, children, child custody, child support, and things of that nature. Anything to do with people's marriages, the finances in their marriages, their relationship with their children, and so forth. Criminal law comes into play whenever someone is arrested and they face charges by the state. Criminal law, of course, means a potential for either fines or incarceration in many cases. General law is everything. It's getting a will, it's buying a house, it's having a dispute with your neighbor over where your fence is, it's about getting a ticket for having an unlicensed dog, it's sending a letter to the dry cleaners because they burned a hole in your dress. I always looked up to lawyers. I always liked lawyer TV shows. It just seemed like something I would like to do and might be good at. And so when the time came, I gave it a shot. I got my undergraduate degree. I didn't immediately go into law. I got a degree in general studies and with a minor in social work, and I became a social worker for a while. But my then wife encouraged me to go to apply to law school. I took my law school admissions test and did well, and I got accepted at LSU Law School. I got my law degree from Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. When there were courses that were different, like on the UCC or bankruptcy or some other things that relate more to out-of-state common law, Louisiana's got a different system of laws than a lot of the rest of the country. I did try to take 49 state courses when they were offered, like in the summer and stuff. The law has changed a great deal since I went to school. When I took my classes in law school, the search engine for legal research was really in its infancy. It was a new, novel thing that you could sit down at a computer and ask it questions about cases and stuff. We were taught out of books. We were referred to books. We spent our time with books, and back then everything was done with books. Today, although I've got shelves in my office with books in them, we really don't use books anymore. Books are a relic of the past. So I would say that computers and information technology have really changed the practice of law in the time that I've done it. Starts in the very beginning. When a client comes in the door, I typically sit down with them and get the facts of the case, try to learn a little bit about them, what the issues are, what the problems they're having, what they hope to achieve. That typically takes an hour or so. Once the case begins, we do what's called discovery. That means we will have requests out to the other side. In a family case, that would typically be tax records, bank statements, credit card statements. It might be a house deed. It might be a paycheck stub, so that we understand the economics of the case. We might do interrogatories, which are a written form of discovery. It's written questions that we pose to the other side and have them answer. Pretty exhaustive, typically like 75 pages. We may even have what's called a deposition. A deposition is where we subpoena the party to come into typically my office, and we would have a court reporter there. Then we would swear the other side in, or a witness in, and have them testify under oath and on the record about different things, typically about economic issues or about the facts that would come up in the case. Then immediately prior to trial, we would decide what our exhibits were going to be. We would decide if we wanted to have an expert witness on some topic, like say a house value or a pension value, and then we would prepare all of our information, based on what we felt were going to be contested issues at the trial. It's absolutely different on TV. I've always joked that nobody could do a realistic show about the practice of law because you'd sign on and see an attorney waiting for 55 minutes only to be told that we're going to do what we do at some other time so we can go home. And if people misunderstand the nature of law, it's this, that there's an awful lot of waiting in halls, waiting in courtrooms, waiting for phone calls from clerks to tell you to come in. There's a lot less action than you see on TV. When something happens, there may be a lot of action, but in a fairly short period of time. Most attorney time is spent waiting and researching and pushing a lot of paper. It's not nearly as romantic or as exciting as it appears on TV. When increasingly, attorneys are solo practitioners. The economic realities of the day make it much harder to have law firms. So far more attorneys are solo practitioners. And if you're a practitioner, if you are an attorney and have your own office, you really have two jobs. One is being a lawyer, going to court and drafting documents and doing trials and things. The other business you have is running a law office. And back when I was in school, they really didn't do much to teach you about running the business of a law office. And you have to understand leases and profit and loss and accounting and personnel matters and bookkeeping and all kinds of other things. And when I ultimately got my own office, I had to learn all of those things. Law is a lot more challenging economically, today.